Thank you, Liz. Welcome, everyone, to our January Open for Anti-Racism webinar. We're so glad that you could join us today. And we have some exciting announcements, and we want to go over the spring schedule so that everybody's clear on what's up for the spring. Thank you for the agenda there. So we're just going to go right through that. And then after we get through our introductions and some announcements, which shouldn't take too long, we want to hear from you and how things have been going. We know that many of you have been working over the semester on making those changes for your syllabus and to your course that you're going to teach in the spring, based on your action plan. And so we're really looking forward to hearing how that's going and any challenges you might have and how we might be of some assistance. So as I think you all know, I'm Una Daly, the OFAR co-director. And I have an announcement in just a moment, but before I announce that, I want to let the rest of the folks on the team say hello to you. James?
Hey everybody, great to see everybody. Welcome to spring, or welcome to January, I guess, January term, spring, the new year, and everybody. Glad to see everybody. Over to you, Liz.
Hi everyone. Liz, I'm still at Open Education Global, and I'm sure I've been in a lot of your inboxes with invoice reminders, and you'll probably get another round of those, some of you. So glad you could all join us today.
Hey everybody, I'm Kim. I think you know me, course facilitator and co-facilitator with Joy and Maritez who are here. But hey, good to see everybody. Nice to meet you, Laura, and welcome.
Hi everyone, happy new year, happy winter term if you have winter or fall or spring. Really nice to be with you all in the new year.
Hi everyone, Maritez. Welcome back. I'm looking forward to spring semester implementing action plans.
Great. Wow. What a wonderful team, the dream team. But you'll, of course, hear from the coaches in just a minute. So I have a big announcement. I am actually retiring from OE Global. In fact, my effective date was January 1st. But, I love this work so much. I wanted to come back for one last webinar and introduce the amazing person that we have found to come in as the co-director. And that is Laura Dunn. And she is going to be working as the Open for Anti-Racism co-director along with James. So she's taking my place and also filling in for some other areas. But Laura is the director also of assessment and writing programs at the Jesuit School of Theology at Santa Clara University. That's a part-time position, as the OFAR co-director is a part-time position. But Laura has just an amazing set of background and skills that she brings to this position. Number one, she's been an instructor at Leeward Community College in Hawaii. That's on Oahu. She has taught Introduction to Religion and other courses there. She's also an editor-in-chief of the Journal of Dharma Studies. She has a lot of interest around transnational and decolonial yoga and indigenous epistemologies and contemplative practices. And in fact, her master's and bachelor's, her undergrad was in religion at the University of Hawaii, which she is a native of Hawaii. And she's currently studying indigenous education at Arizona State University. But she has received a PhD on the history and culture of South Asian religion. So we are so thrilled to have Laura on board, and we think she's going to bring just so much to the OFAR program. So Laura, over to you.
Thanks for the warm welcome, Una, and Happy New Year, everyone. It's really great to meet you. And I'm scrolling through all of your faces right now because I have a very small laptop screen, but I do want to be able to see all of your faces and meet you, and I will over time. Una is irreplaceable. I met her in the hiring process. I don't know, when was that? Like end of November, early December. And in that short period of time, it became very obvious to me all that she has done for the OFAR community and for the program, and the incredible gift that she is to anti-racism. So I have big shoes to fill, and I'm very honored to be working alongside all of you and with James and Marie-Thèse and Liz and Joy and Kim. And I'm learning every day, and I hope that I learn from all of you as time goes on. So don't be shy. Feel free to reach out via email if you have any questions or if you just want to chat. I'm around.
Great. Thank you so much, Laura. And maybe you just put your email address also in the chat now.
Yes.
And we've only been working with Laura for about a month, but it's just amazing how quickly she's come up to speed on the program. And I just know that this is just a wonderful new change for the program. All right. Back to you, Laura.
Actually, I think if Marie-Thèse wanted to go ahead and get us rolling with the reintroductions of our advisory coaches. I don't know if you mind doing that, Marie-Thèse. Is she around?
I know Marie-Thèse was here. I don't know if she's in a position where maybe she's not in a position where she can do that.
Perhaps, yeah.
So I'll
Hi.
Oh, there you are, Marie-Thèse. Great. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Maybe driving.
Yeah, actually, James, if you could go ahead and take the lead on that, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. No worries, Marie-Thèse. Thanks for being here. So we are fortunate to work with an amazing group of coaches, and now well over half of our coaches are past participants in the program, which is super cool. So first of all, Elisa Cooper from Glendale Community College in Arizona, not the Glendale Community College in Southern California. She's been with us as a coach from the beginning. Gayatri Manikandan, a math professor from Compton College, who completed the OFAR program last year. Alan Leone, a math professor from Imperial Valley College, who completed the program. I think it was year one, Alan. I can't remember now. Year two. Thank you, Alan. And next slide, please. Then we have Deborah Crumpton, professor of business at Sacramento City College and a leader in many other respects in her district. She was a completer in year one. Ana Garcia, a professor of chemistry and earth sciences at Monterey Peninsula College. Also, Anna, I think year one completer.
Yes.
Thank you, Una. Yeah, and Cindy Sheeks from Moore Park College, professor of ECE, who was a completer of the program last year, and with whom Una and I have had the great pleasure to collaborate on OER projects over the years. And then Hasna Sadat Ahadi, professor of counseling from Palomar College, also a completer in year one. So really great to see folks who participate in the program, who want to continue contributing and continue to be part of the community. So thanks to each and every one of you for everything. And then I will just give us a quick review of the fall. Of course, you all know that the main effort in the fall was completing the Canvas course facilitated by Marie-Thèse, Kim, and Joy. We had a series of webinars in the fall, including decolonizing your syllabus, action plan examples from past participants, sharing their action plans and how maybe their original action plans evolved into what they actually implemented in the spring. And in a few minutes, we'll ask you to think about that and share your thoughts about your implementation in the spring and how that might be evolving compared to your original action plan. We held our facilitators held open office hours. We also had the College of the Canyons OER team provide open office hours for those of you who need help with searching for OER or open licensing questions. And then we had at what seemed like the end of the semester, middle of December, Amanda Tainter and Suzanne Joaquin provide a fantastic webinar on practical steps for implementing anti-racist teaching with open pedagogy. So those were the major topics of the fall. And now a quick glance at the OFAR calendar for the spring. We see a QR code here. We see a link here, and this information is all available inside the Canvas course. So during the spring, of course, we'll continue the webinars, and we ask you to participate in these webinars. For those of you who can't participate, or if you have a colleague who can't be here today, as Una mentioned, I know we have one team whose opening day or convocation is taking place right now, so understandably they can't be here. We do ask that you watch the excuse me, watch the recording and then fill out a quick little form just to let us know. And through the spring, we're going to ask that you provide some individualized reflections in Canvas, sort of how is it going and how are things evolving? You'll see the due dates there, the middle of February, beginning of April, and the end of May. We also ask that the team leader continue to check in, reach out to your sponsoring administrator, let them know that your team is still working, that you're doing good things, and you know, it can be an email, it can be a meeting, it can be bumping into them in the parking lot. But we just want to make sure you keep your efforts on the radar of the administrators so that you have that encouragement to get the attention of the institution. And then throughout the spring semester, we'll hold a couple of what we're calling unwebinars. Some of you may have encountered unconference sessions, sort of free-form, unagendized sessions. We'll have a couple of sessions during the spring, shortly after your reflections, during which we'll host facilitated discussions. We'll look through your reflections. We'll pull out some major themes or topics that we see that might be common to many of you, and we'll try to structure a facilitated discussion around those themes so that we're getting some interaction and so that you are hearing from one another. One of the consistent points of feedback we receive from participants or have received from participants over the years is that they really find it valuable to hear from other teams and folks at other schools and in other disciplines. So we hope this will be an opportunity for that. We ask that you continue meeting monthly with coaches. The team leads, please make sure that you and the coach are connecting about the calendar. And then research activities are coming up in the spring. I'll speak more about that in a second. And then the big finale for us is the team showcase in June. You see the date there, June 14th, an hour and a half. More instructions will be forthcoming, but essentially we ask you as a team, not as an individual, but as a team to share sort of what your experience was, how you may have impacted students, how your students responded to your work, what kind of impact do you think you will have as a team on your institution and so on. Sort of a little bit more of a big picture in addition to your individualized efforts. And then ongoing, if you need help with OER stuff, you can reach out to the OER team at Canyons, oer@canyons.edu. Okay, thank you, Laura. Okay, next slide. And then did you want to speak to this, Laura?
Sure.
I know this is in the course as well, but
yeah, this is a little bit of an abridged version of our spring schedule. So here we are, welcome to spring, introduction and preview of activities. And if you go to the spring schedule, you'll see these in extended form. Our next webinar is coming up right around the corner on February 2nd. And this is with Jasmine Roberts-Cruz from Ohio State University. Several of you probably already know who she is. We're very honored to have her speak for us at our webinar. The topic will be on Black feminist pedagogy and open education. February 15th, the first reflection is due in Canvas, and the following week will be our first unwebinar, excuse me. And then we head right into March with Dr. Jamie Thomas, Dean of Social Sciences at Cypress Colleges, and she will be presenting on strategies for advocating for students and transformative pedagogies. And then again, after that webinar, we have Reflection 2 due in Canvas on April 1st, and then our unwebinar on April 12th. Our final webinar for the spring will be with Alyssa Nguyen from the RP group, our research group, and she and perhaps some of her colleagues will be speaking and presenting on hosting a panel discussion really on anti-racist education, Black policy, Black student transfer panel. On May 5th, or excuse me, May 3rd, we have open pedagogy in action and some showcase reminders. Your final reflections are due on May 31st, and on June 14th is our OFAR participant showcase webinar, where you will be doing your showcases or presenting your showcases to everyone. And I think Una can give you a little more information about our next webinar on February 2nd.
Oh, thanks, Laura. Well, we had the pleasure of having Jasmine attend our OFAR presentation at OE Global. So Joy and James and I gave a presentation at OE Global in October, and Jasmine came, and she is a national spokesperson on open ed and Black feminist pedagogy. And so it was wonderful to meet her and get some feedback from her on our workshop that we were doing. And at that time, we asked her if she might be available to come and speak to the cohort, and she said yes. And so we were able to arrange that. So she is a professor of communications at Ohio State University, and has been active in open ed, I'm going to say, for the last 4 or 5 years. Don't quote me on that. She recently published an article, a journal article. She's published other articles, but she recently published a journal article on specifically on Black feminist pedagogy and open education. And I know James has that link handy. It would take me a while to find it, but James, if you have that handy, you might post that in there in the chat window. And so she has been working on open education. She also works with RIOS, which is the STEM-based equity initiative. That's a national initiative as well. And she was the speaker at the National Open. She was the keynote, one of 2 keynote speakers at the Open Ed 2023 conference in November. That's the National Open Education Conference. So I think we're just going to have a wonderful hour with her in February. And so I'm asking permission to come back for one more webinar because I don't want to miss her talk with everyone. So thank you for letting me share that, Laura.
Great. Well, thank you, Una. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to have Jasmine here. So at this point, we want to start getting a little feedback, little input from you all. The spring is a time, or we're going into a time now when you're transitioning from the fall, in which there were a lot of activities focused on the course, a very structured learning experience with the support of the facilitators and the webinars as well. Now we're moving into the spring. The course is complete, or you have completed the course. As you see, we have plenty of webinars and large group activities planned for the spring. However, the meat of the work, the core of your efforts during this spring will be implementing your action plans in your own classes, which is a bit more of a solitary endeavor. So we want to get that on your radar and acknowledge that there's a transition, but we also want to start hearing from you, and I'll be quiet in just a minute and turn this over to you all. Hear from you all about what you are thinking about when it comes to implementing your action plans. You've had some time to reflect over the holidays. Do you have concrete ideas for changing your action plan? You created and submitted that action plan, and now when you think about planning the spring semester, some things are changing, or do you anticipate 100% fidelity in the spring to the action plan that you crafted in the fall? Have you continued learning during the holiday break? Did you read some really great books that challenge you to change your plans for the spring? Did you chat with your teammates about their action plans, and you thought, well, gee, I'm going to change mine in this way? So we'd really like to open it up for those very much open-ended questions and hear from you all what your thoughts are about the spring as it pertains to implementing your action plans. Maybe we'll start off and ask, is there anybody here who's 100% confident exactly what you crafted in your action plan in the fall is going to be what you're implementing in the spring. Oh, and first I see Jamie here. Yay, Jamie here, former OFAR coach and now one of our wonderful guest speakers. Great to see you, Jamie. So anyone who has that thought about their action plans, boy, everything is going to be exactly the same as I envisioned in the fall. Greg, you unmuted. Does that mean you're 100% sure?
Thank you for catching that subtle indicator. Am I 100% sure? No, but it is the beginning of our semester. We officially began our fully online asynchronous classes this past Saturday, and it's in one of those classes that I'm doing my OFAR action plan. So it is the beginning, which means all things are possible, including perfection. And so therefore, I am eternally and hopelessly optimistic and romantic as well, for that matter. So I believe that it will all be wonderful. But I do have an experience, if I can share. I have so I have 3 parts to my action plan. 2 parts I'm not going to even get a chance to start until a couple weeks in, because they're related to assignments that are due later on, starting next week. But I do have what I my most ambitious plan is a scaffolded introduction to personal identity for my students to bring themselves into the scholarship that they are creating in my class. So I teach history. They have a summative assessment at the end where they kind of create a thing that covers our entire class. And with the guidance of a recent sociology PhD who I'm close to at my college, I decided to, I asked his permission, of course, to use a project he did in his research where my students I'm scaffolding how they introduce their identity. So I've got the very first discussion, their introductions, instead of doing the standard, why you're here, what's next on you in your educational journey. I did a thing where I showed them the identity wheel, right? One of those things where there's the multiple cultures. And I said, pick 2 of the things that matter to you and discuss that. My first time doing something like this with students. I've done this with colleagues, because I teach for @1 and we use something like that in the equity course there. And so I was uncertain about that and how it would go. And what I was impressed with, the assignments were due on Wednesday, right? So I've just kind of gone through and read all the introductions and did my replies and everything. What impressed me was, first of all, how comfortable a lot of my students are sharing their personal experiences. I was really glad to hear several students, through sharing their stories, help normalize the experience of being a student or being a person with disabilities. So that was happy to see that. And in terms of the right, as I mentioned, the normalizing. But the thing that impressed me most, and this is a thing that I don't know because I've never done this before, is how many of my students talks about how important their religious faith was to them. There were most of those who said that. So it wasn't every student, right? Whatever the number was. About 2/3 of those who said religious faith was important to them were Christian, and the remaining third were Muslim. And what I was impressed with was how comfortable they were saying that. And then I added a reflection after the discussion, right? So the reflection is, hey, I just asked you to do this thing, and how did that feel for you? And several of the students who said religion was their identity in the reflection said that they felt they were taking a risk, that they were uncertain about how their classmates would react to putting their faith so front. And so I was that's my impression. That's kind of my observation. I hope that bodes well for the latter discussions when I'm going to get into more, and I can ask them to connect their identity to how they've learned and how they remember things, and before we get to the final thing. So I was again, happy in the sense I'm always happy that students are willing to share, and impressed that they were. I guess my question I don't know, and I'll never know, right, is how many of my prior students over my years of teaching, for them, how important has their faith been? I can't believe that the importance of faith, broadly speaking, is that much different today than it was 10 or 20 years ago. So that's kind of a thing that I'm impressed with and thinking about and really likes. And also like to thank you all for letting me share my reflections.
Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate that. Very, very good. Thank you for getting us started. In the chat, thank you, Michelle, for sharing that you had crafted your action plan with the words "I hope to" and "I plan to." So that gives you some leeway, of course. Appreciate that. Would you like to add anything? Okay. Thank you. And then Nicole also let us know it's close, but not exactly the same. I realize this is going to be something I can add to each semester. Absolutely. Iteration, iteration, iteration. Nicole, anything you want to add verbally there?
Yes, thank you. So I'm actually doing something similar to what Greg just said, but I work in a nursing program. And so I'm doing a personal reflection and how their identity, which this is actually part of our curriculum to help them learn about their nursing identity. And to add that to an assignment where they can see who they are, how is that going to impact the care that they provide? So I'm kind of glad to hear somebody who's actually started that process that it's going well, because I am concerned about the students sharing or feeling comfortable with sharing, who they are and how that connects to what they're going to be doing when they graduate. So I'm excited to get started. And so part of the additions has to do with decolonizing my class syllabus. I had some actually good news. I thought that was going to be difficult because I co-teach with 2 other people, so I needed to get them on board, and we decided to do 3 separate syllabuses. So basically, I get to do exactly what I want. Both of them looked at it and went, oh, maybe I need to do some of what you're doing. And so that part of it kind of took some of my anxiety of having to explain to other people about what I'm doing and why and all of that. So I've had some positive things, moving forward as far as that's concerned. So I'm really excited to get started. We don't start with students until the end of the month. So I have a little bit more time to get everything ready.
Oh, wonderful, Nicole. I really appreciate hearing that you shared what you're doing with your colleagues, and perhaps you had a positive influence on your colleagues, or perhaps you speaking about how your teaching practice is evolving gave them permission to also speak about what they're thinking, right? Sometimes this kind of work, we can be doing it in our head, or we could be doing it in isolation in our classrooms, and hopefully we're positively surprised when our colleagues react positively. I know that's not always the case, though. Great. Well, thank you, Nicole. And Firuz, you echo Greg's response, getting your students comfortable sharing who they are and what they value about language, culture, and communication. Would you like to add anything, Firuz?
Hey everyone. Just to add, I opened up my first day of class asking students, what is respect, what is trust, and what is patience? And it was interesting to listen to what those words mean, not from a dictionary, but based on what it means to them from their own personal experiences and the relationships that they've had and built with other people in their lives. And yeah, so I feel like that kind of broke the ice for us. As far as like my personal anti-racist action plan, I still have a while to go before I implement the research module, so I still have time. But like I said, I'll keep y'all posted.
Thank you, and great reminder, and maybe this is a bit of a theme, just being transparent with our students and letting them know that we're approaching this class in a particular way in which we're interested in who they are. We give them permission to share who they really are. That can send a really positive signal. Excellent. Thank you, Firuz. And then we saw in the chat, Cindy shared you're making adjustments.
Excuse me just a quick second, James. Laura asked, and I think it's a great idea, could people please introduce themselves and say where they teach as well before they, so it's great. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you might have missed that, so.
Good point. Thank you. Thank you. So Firuz, can we back up a second? Sorry, Firuz,
Yeah, sure. Hi, nice to meet you, Laura, and welcome. I'm Fairuz Ahmed Ramirez. I also go by Rosie for short. That's my nickname. I teach English composition and English as a second language at Cosumnes River Community College.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And Nicole, I'm going to back up a second. Nicole.
Oh, hi. I'm Nicole. I teach at Palomar College in San Marcos, California, and I teach in a nursing program.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you. And Michelle? Would you like to introduce yourself?
I didn't say anything. I just posted, but I'm Michelle Oya, and I teach psychology at Taft College in a tiny area in Central California.
Thank you, Michelle. And Greg.
Hi, I'm Greg Beyer. I'm the Distance Education Coordinator at Cosumnes River College, and I have the privilege of teaching history.
Great. Nice to meet you, Greg.
Thank you. And thank you, Kim, for pointing that out. And thanks, Laura, for asking that question. Cindy, you had also shared that you're making adjustments already and you've got some good feedback from your coach. Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I'm Cindy Anfinson. I'm from Palomar College and I teach mathematics. Yeah, I had some ideas and I didn't quite know how to implement them, and kind of had an email exchange with Anna that was very helpful. And on the Canvas side, I kind of touched base with Devin, another math instructor, and we've been emailing back and forth. So that's been really, really helpful.
Thank you, Cindy. And I'm going to call out Alan here, and one of our completers and coaches, and Gayatri as well, who are both math professors. So we've got some other colleagues, of course, who can speak mathematics. Gail, was your hand raised, or just no? Okay, great, thank you. Then
but I might talk anyway.
Yeah, please, Gail.
I am an adjunct professor in theater at Cosumnes River College. Hey, team. I still like my plan, and I have big dreams about it. And there's a couple of big projects in it. One is to create a brand new module in my diversity and American drama class, based on well, we're going to talk about the institution of theater as a white supremacist institution, and a couple of things I asked my students before at the beginning of the semester. I asked them to define or to look at the word diversity, what it means to them, where do they see diversity in their community, and what are the questions that we should be asking in the course. And I'm already getting those kinds of questions that I'm going to use to guide that module. So I was kind of excited to see one specifically from a student who said, maybe we should talk about the difference between diversity. Sorry if that's pinging at you guys. I don't know how to make it be quiet. Shouldn't we be discussing the difference between diversity and not diversity in theater? I mean, that's sort of paraphrased the thing. So I'm like already kind of thinking how I can use their wonderful questions to guide the content of this module. So they'll be engaged in it. And because some of the projects are kind of feel big to me, I started to just comb through my language. I do that anyway. I look at every link, I as I come into the semester, but I decided to go even deeper and look at like almost every word and comb out more language that just even has just the smell of punitive or anything like you won't be allowed to. Oh, let me change that to once you do this, you will be able to. So that's sort of been my task in this last, I don't know, 10 days. I had no time over the break to address anything in this plan, but I'm taking solace from the fact I can just comb through language and just weed out anything that out of that tapestry that could make somebody feel put off or excluded or like, oh, anyway, that's all.
Thank you, Gail. Great equity practice with the language, and great open pedagogy practice by having your students suggest topics. That's fantastic. That's a great way a couple of great examples. Terrific. Ledford shared in the chat that you're going to be implementing your plan in a late start course and that you've created a liquid syllabus. Would you like to share anything more about that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first I want to say that over the winter break, I was creating 2 trauma-informed care courses to implement during the spring semester for the first time. And a lot of the information and the practices that I learned with the OFAR program, I was implementing as I was building the courses. So it was very refreshing. And I feel like the course content and material, lectures and everything is just very anti-racist and how I was curating it. So I was, even though those weren't the courses I chose to implement my plan in, it's very symbolic of everything that I've learned um, in OFAR. So I want to say thank you for that. And I was very busy. I'm usually not this busy during winter. I like to take a break, but this winter I did seem to not have been able to take a break because I just had so much stuff to implement into my courses. And as I was creating the liquid syllabus for child family community, I'm just like, why not just do it for all of my courses that I'm teaching this spring? Because I have students that are taking that course and multiple courses of mine, so it just made no sense to just have it for one course and not all of my courses. So I'm teaching 7 courses this semester, different courses, no 2 sections of one course. It's 7 different courses I'm teaching this semester. And I was able to get a liquid syllabus and a link to each of my courses this semester. So I'm telling you, I've been busy, busy, busy. But because my courses are all fully online, it works out for me. I start teaching 2, and then I have 3 late starts that start in February, and then my 2 regular starts, they end in March, and then I have 2 more that starts. So I'm only teaching 5 at a time at the most. Which is still a lot, right?
We still have a lot
So
of shocked emoji faces around the around the Zoom.
it's been a busy semester, but nonetheless, I'm enjoying it. But in child family community, I don't want to say struggle with, but I have a lot of I have assignments that I don't want to get rid of. Like I love my assignments. Like I have a parent interview, a media assignment. Um, I have all these different assignments. So I was trying to, not trying to, I ended up, I added it. I added a lecture, I added a whole section on anti-racism and an assignment aligned with open pedagogy where students will be doing research on the ethnic um, theorists, and they would be presenting it, and I will be using that information to create future lectures and adding on to the lecture so that their voices are heard and their pieces are added to the courses. So I added that, but I struggled with taking one of my assignments out to replace that one. I mean, so that one can replace it. So that was I feel like I'm ready, like my course is ready. Um, I'm excited to implement it on February 4th. That assignment is going to be during like the second week of that class. So I'm kind of just like, and I've been adding assignments like that throughout, especially the trauma informed care courses as well. So I feel like it's OFAR voices are going to be heard throughout a lot of my courses. So definitely want to say thank you all.
Oh, thank you, Ledford. Boy, that warms all of our hearts. Thank you, Ledford. And again, we're bowing down to you teaching 7 different preps. That's pretty incredible. And there's so much goodness in what you shared. But I particularly picked up on the fact that you're asking students to do presentations on theorists, and you will use that material in future courses. That is a great, classic, just fantastic example of open pedagogy, having your students help you to create material for future classes. Dynamite.
And I'm going to cite them as well. I added to the assignment that I will cite you, the student who wrote the material, and not where you got your citations from, so that it can be even more empowering for my students.
Yeah. Treating your students as the scholars they are. Fantastic. And Ledford, finally, which college are you with, Ledford?
Oh, sorry. I work child development professor at Saracoso Community College.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Well, I'm going to take a peek at the chat to see if we've got other contributions. Would anybody else like to unmute and share what they're doing or what their thoughts are? We got some comments on 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 the course load there. So anybody else want to unmute and share what you're doing? And I'm sorry, I'm just realizing Tyrone, I'm calling you by your last name rather than your first name. I think your first name is Tyrone. I'm so sorry.
You know, you're not the first person. I always say I'm gonna flip it, but I never get to it.
My apologies. Well, how about, well, if there's if there's nobody else who wants to share from our current participants, I wonder if our coaches, if I can put our coaches on the spot, to share an example or two of what you may have experienced yourself when you were going through the program, or what you've experienced with the teams you worked with in the past. How common is it that the plans evolve? Gayatri.
Hi everyone, I'm Gayatri Manikandan. I teach math at Compton College, and I just want to say, as a coach, even I get a lot of ideas from my team. When I see their activities and stuff, oh, I can do this in my class as well. I want to, first congratulate everybody for coming up with all kind of ideas to involve our students and do, pedagogy and also increase their belonging by doing activities and all those stuff. As Tyrone mentioned, was taking this course, I just wanted to do one thing for one of my classes, but it won't stop there. You just get so much involved and you want to do everything, all these great practices in all your classes. It doesn't matter, it's one prep or five preps, right? But you just want all our students in different classes to feel the same involvement, belonging, and stuff. So it's kind of contagious. So as long as we are in the group to do it and keep doing it, it only gets better. So there is no going back and stuff. So I love doing this. So I just want to share that with everyone. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gayatri. Appreciate that. Wonder if any of our other coaches want to share their experience as participants, or the experience of your past teams that you've worked with.
Hi, everybody. This is Deborah Crumpton. I'm a coach and I teach at Sacramento City College. I teach business classes. So I have warned my team of the biggest thing that I think I did that worked against me, and that was too much. And I've said to them, we come into this program because we really are concerned and we have really great ideas, and we see so much that can be done and that needs to be done. And we forget that we are teaching, living, and also trying to digest all this information. And so I encourage my team members to keep your plan in place, whatever that big plan is, and take a piece of it and make that piece quantifiable so that you can somehow measure whether or not you're seeing any discernible change, and to be satisfied that that's good enough. Right? That don't beat yourself up because you should have done more and you didn't get enough. To remember, this is only just one small part of the movement towards anti-racism.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. We can only care for others if we care for ourselves. And I know from the College of the Canyons team, but I think this is also the case with all of our participants, you are all leaders at your institutions. If you're not teaching 7 different preps like Tyrone, you're chairing this committee, you're chairing that committee, you're the person who does this, the person who does that. So there are a lot of responsibilities on your collective plates. Any final contributions or concerns, thoughts, questions about implementing the action plan before we turn back to a few more announcements? Okay, then Laura, I'm going to ask if you could share screen one more time. We've got a couple more announcements to go through here. Great, thank you, Laura. So, and thank you everybody for that input. So, just a few more points about spring activities under the rubric of coaching. Of course, we want you to continue meeting with your coach once per month. And again, team leader, please take the lead on making sure that you're on the calendar with the coach. Your team is on the calendar with the coach. Also, we're asking that your team, at least one time this semester, that your team meeting with the coach meets together with another team. We've heard from past years of participants that one of the most valuable aspects of the program is meeting colleagues from other colleges, sharing ideas, getting feedback from other colleges. So that's one way we can do that. Marie-Thèse, I'm not sure if you're in a position where you can unmute, but I know you were going to take the lead on reaching out to the coaches to try to coordinate how that happens. So Marie-Thèse is not in a position to unmute, but coaches and team leads, please keep your eyes open for a message from Marie-Thèse about how to coordinate that. I know it's, scheduling is never easy, so give yourself some grace with that arrangement. But we've heard from participants that that's going to be very valuable. And then finally, I just want to get on your radar. You don't need to take any action now, but want to get on your radar the upcoming research activities. We partner with the RP group to do a thorough research and evaluation of the program every year. During the spring semester, you'll receive from me, or team leads will receive from me information about student surveys. You'll receive a link that I kindly ask you to share with your teams to distribute to your students, maybe post it in your Canvas shell or send out via email to your students. So a survey for your students, asking your students about the way they perceive your teaching and perceive the materials in your class. Of course, this is all anonymous. Laura and Una and I don't have any idea who gives what response. This is all locked up with the RP group. Then there's also an administrator survey. And again, team leads will ask you to share a link to that survey with your administrators. And the questions really are asking, how did the administrator support your activities? Does the administrator feel informed? And does the administrator think that your efforts in the program will be able to inform the college's anti-racism efforts going forward? And then you will all be invited to participate in an interview. We'll be looking for 8-ish individuals to sit for approximately an hour-long interview with our researchers. So that we'll have quantitative input and also qualitative input that can round out the picture of what's happening this year. So keep an eye open for that if you're interested in participating in that interview with our researchers. But again, that's all anonymous, and we don't have any idea who says what. And then there's a faculty post survey, of course, to complement the pre-survey you did at the beginning of the year. And then finally, a note for the team leads and coaches. I will be shortly sending you a list of all the course assignments that your team identified at the very beginning of OFAR. You said, hey, in the spring, I'm going to be implementing my action plan in, math 1, 2, 3, or history 3, 4, 5. And things change, right? Your class assignments change, the schedule changes. We just need everybody to update us with if there are any changes in your class assignments or in the class which you think you're going to implement, your action plan, so that our researchers can talk to your institutional effectiveness or institutional research colleagues and get the data for the correct class. Hope that all makes sense. So short point here is you'll be getting emails from me throughout the spring semester about research activities, sharing a link, but then also pretty quickly the team leads and coaches will be getting an email from me about asking team members to update their spring class assignments if there are any changes. And that's it. Laura, next slide, please. I think it's back to you and Liz.
Yeah, just a note on communication and support. As always, make sure to check your email settings so that you're receiving communications from James and now me, so that I don't go into your junk email box. Any kind of project-related communications can go to the Google group with the emails listed here, OFAR-2023@googlegroups.com. And Liz has, as she already mentioned, been sending a bunch of notices out to all of you regarding contracts and invoicing. and you can continue to communicate with her until approximately around end of January, and then I will be taking over some of those responsibilities from Liz, so you might see a change in communications. I will be the one sending reminders for invoices and whatnot from then out, but I think from my understanding, the next invoicing and billing cycle isn't going to be until the summertime. So once we're all done with the invoicing, there might not be too much going on until summer. And there is ongoing OER support available through College of the Canyons. If you need help finding materials, accessibility verifications, questions about formatting, you can email oer@canyons.edu and copy James and his email you already have probably, hopefully, by now in your inbox. And any other questions, feel free to reach out to me, even if you don't have questions and you just want to say hi and meet for a virtual cup of something, feel free to reach out. And Liz, is there anything else you wanted to add in regard to anything on this list or beyond?
I think that pretty much covers it. I did just put something in the chat, just a reminder that you should have sent in your first invoice already, and on bill.com, please set up the e-payments. You shouldn't have to download any kind of software. I think there was some confusion on that. You should just be able to opt out of that. I don't know exactly because I can't go in there and see what you're seeing. And yeah, I'll just be reaching out to people individually.
Great, thanks, Liz. And James has shared in the chat Una's announcement. There's a link there celebrating Una daily as she looks toward her rewirement rather than retirement.
Great. So I think that's all for our formal business. Any final comments? For a change, we've wrapped it up before the top of the hour. Greg.
Thank you. I am shocked and surprised and a little bit sad that you're retiring. So I want to share just that I first met you. I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was at the state chancellor's office, and I was voluntold to represent my college for a particular program that was a multi-college consortium agreement that we were working on, and you were so kind and so nice to represent, and there was an OER component to it, and you were so kind and so nice to welcome me, and I didn't feel like I belonged, not because I didn't value OER, but because the program that I was representing, I don't teach in, and I don't know anything about what they do, but because I'm the DE coordinator, they've all told me to take care of that. So thank you for your welcome and for all the bits and pieces, moments here and there that we've interacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. That's very sweet of you. I'm definitely going to miss the OFAR program, but I hope to stay in touch with folks. And yeah, it's time for some new folks to take over, and I'm thrilled to have Laura join us and do that work. So.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. We've got 4 minutes left. If anybody wants to add any comments, questions, suggestions, I don't know, stories of snowball fights over the holidays. I had the pleasure of visiting Chicago for the holidays, where I grew up, visiting my family in Chicago, and there was no snow. I got out of Chicago without a white Christmas, no snow, and then I came back to beautiful, sunny Southern California, and it snowed for days and days and days in Chicago. So I miss the joys of revisiting my childhood shoveling snow. So